Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Jazz Talk, my favorite segment of the show where I interview local jazz musicians. This week we have Emanuel. Emanuel, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great.
That's great to hear. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
All right, so I'm originally from Dumas, Texas. So I'm born and live here in Texas. I'm from Dumas. I grew up there pretty much my whole life. I didn't really get into music until I think my junior year of high school. I was in band ever since 6th grade, but it wasn't really ever my thing. It was more of like sports and,
I see.
I was a kid. I was playing a lot of video games and stuff like that. So it was until my junior year that I just started getting more into. I thought of it as more of a less of a hobby and more of like a passion. I was like, I really enjoy doing this, that kind of stuff. So I'm from Dumas, Texas, and my senior year, I remember I was going through two different like predicaments where like, okay, so I really enjoy this music thing, but I also like, I also really enjoy like STEM, like science and stuff.
I see,
and that kind of stuff. So I was like between majoring in like engineering or music, and I had two really good band directors, and I just remember we had a talk randomly.
Yeah. And
because he was asking me like, what are your plans, like, because you're really great at this music thing, and I think you'd be an awesome teacher. And I was like, I never really thought about it, and it just took some convincing, and by the end of it I was like, you know what, I'm gonna do music. So and I saw West Texas, and I was like, this seems like a good environment. I went to their band camp, so like it was from there, at least I was like, this is a really comfortable place for now, and I'm gonna try it. And ever since, here we are now.
I see. So you did get into it a little bit, but how long have you been playing the saxophone for?
That's funny you bring that up. I kind of noticed, like a couple days ago, I was like, how long have I been playing, And it's been like 10 years now, actually, which is really crazy.
Yeah, that's awesome. When did you start playing jazz?
Not seriously, honestly, not until like I got here into college. My junior year of high school, I was in our jazz bands. I remember I tried out every year. I didn't make it until my junior year, but we, I didn't really participate in like any of that kind of stuff until my junior year of high school, and from there, I think it was just from, because like I was in like, in the jazz bands before I was in like in high school at least, I was sitting in the audience listening to the jazz band from my hometown. And I was like, wow, this is cool, and honestly, if anything, we can almost get into like why I kind of like really wanted to major in music. And I had this one upperclassman. His name was Daniel, not Daniel Sarah. No. But yeah, his name was Daniel, and he played the saxophone and really well. And like he just made the horn sound like nothing I could like produce, and nothing that I've ever heard before, honestly. And he played a solo that concert day. They made him play a solo, and I was like, wow, that was like really crazy. And so like ever since, I kind of like I've gotten more into jazz now, and like other like just like I don't know, like anime, like Cowboy Bebop. I got into jazz and all that kind of stuff, and like ever since, like not really until college, I really started taking it more seriously. I really enjoy the jazz scene and just the music part about it. Yeah.
Well, you got into it a little bit, but besides those points that you just said, what else made you so attracted to the genre of jazz?
I guess just the language of it, just like, and actually just like how difficult it is. Like, as I got more into music, it was like the hard part is like, oh, I'm just reading the notes on the page, and like I have to learn this by then. Like, before, because I really enjoy jazz, but I'm also a classical player. So like, I'm used to just like, here's a page of music, and then I have to read exactly what's on this page, play it in time, and all that stuff, And with jazz, it's like, oh, cool. The way we have this like fun little melodies and tunes and stuff, and just like the getting to express yourself with improv, which I think is like the big thing that makes jazz what jazz is, like getting to come up with your own ideas and like getting like to express yourself and show what you're about. I think how you sound on your instrument and how you improv just like says a million things about you and your personality in an instant. Like there's so many great players that I get to listen to a lot, and especially here, and I hear their their improv, and I'm like, that's exactly who they are. It's like that's so them. It's really cool. You can see what kind of people like just enjoy how they enjoy their music and how they like represent themselves when they improv.
Yeah.
I think that's why I really enjoy jazz. It's just a whole new way to like pretty much express yourself. Like classical music is like, oh, I'm expressing myself by stretching the music and all that kind of stuff. But like with jazz, you're talking while you're talking. You're saying your own words at a certain point, you know. So
exactly.
Yeah.
So you did get into it a little bit, but how differently do you think when you're playing jazz compared to when you're in a classical setting?
Oh, it's completely different. So like like I guess we can start with like in a classical setting. You know, in a classical setting, you're pretty much already in like a certain mindset of like, okay, I just need to play this how I've been, you know, practicing in the practice room. Because honestly, in a classical setting, all of your, you know, hard work comes from like your practice. You know, how you prepared, and that can go the same for jazz, but it's a little different. You know, it's more straightforward. Like, okay, let's make sure that I've been practicing these exact notes that I've on the page that I've been practicing for like weeks, months probably. You know, like as long as I can perform these as the music says, then I did a great job. You know, there's I guess you can say there's more into it, but that's pretty much how I see classical music. Is just, you know, to the composers, like, okay, I'm gonna make sure I play these notes how the composer wants it. You know, if I just play like a random blues lick in the middle of like the piece, you know, I'm sure the composer, dead or alive, would not enjoy that. You know, it's very different. You got to show what they want and their ideas. And for jazz, a lot of the preparation honestly just comes from like less like preparation, more like getting like when you're in like the environment you're in now, making sure you can read the room, understand. It's a lot of communication, actually, more than classical, I can say.
Yeah.
Like, and like, if you're like in a jazz combo in a jazz band, like you're taking a solo, or you're like just like even just like reading on the page if you're in a big band setting, you gotta understand like, okay, the lead alto player is like if you're the lead, you got to sing on top. There's certain times where you can't sing on top. You know, when you're improvising, is like, this guy just finished improvising. He played this cool lick. Let me follow it up with that exact same cool lick and like kind of develop on that stuff. So it's like, it's way more communication in that sense of way, you know? Like, the preparation comes from your experience of how many times you've done it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a job, you know? Like, you get your job and you say you're experienced, but when you get there, you're not experienced. You know? It takes like a couple tries and like a couple days to understand. So like all the experience comes like from how much you just play, like just from gigs, from like jazz band gigs, big band. How much is all that's your experience? You know, you don't really get to. That's the hardest part about being a really good jazz musician. All the experience just comes from like your confidence of going out there and starting from scratch, pretty much, and seeing how fast you can just like overcome all like these challenges and like how professional you can be with it.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I see. What are some of your favorite jazz artists, and why are they your favorites?
So right now, I really enjoy Patrick Bartley. He's just phenomenal. He's a bizarre. You know, we've just never seen somebody like him in a while, in a long time. You know, in like, he kind of does these cool live streams while he plays video games, but he's just like, he's still like in the mode of like all this jazz talking this stuff, and like. I feel like he's more woke in the scene, just like when things are like kind of weird in the jazz like scene, he's like, why is this happening? Like, you know, like what's this, like why are more people like doing this? And it's like interesting to see, because like you don't really look at it like that, you're just kind of like listening, and he's like this was this, because he's like a veteran. He studied with Wynton Marsalis, you know, all that stuff. So like he has like a lot of experience with like the old head jazz, but he's also really developed like really well in like very like modern and like contemporary jazz. So like his knowledge and just like the way he like improvs is less academic than most. Like I feel like as jazz kind of evolves, it becomes a little it's becoming more academic, and like ever since he's just kind of like popped up into the scene, it's become more of like, I'm playing from like my heart, you know. I'm playing from my soul. I'm singing. Like if I didn't have this instrument on hand, I would be singing the exact notes. I would be just like jamming along with the track. His improv is like, I feel like no other. It's really unique, and I feel like he's becoming a pioneer of something new that we don't know yet. We just don't know what to call it yet. He's definitely becoming a pioneer of something. Another artist I would say is that he takes a lot of inspiration from is Cannonball Adderley. You know, he has the craziest vocabulary I think out of a lot of saxophonists, and these are both saxophone players.
Mm-hmm.
I should say that they're both jazz saxophonists. And Cannonball's vocabulary, I feel like, has established a lot of vocabulary over like all of jazz. Like, pretty much just like you hear a certain lick, you're like, oh, that's Cannonball. It's kind of like Charlie Parker.
Yeah.
I mean, I really like Charlie Parker, but like Cannonball is just like a kind of like a refined. I feel like is a refined version of him. Like just the way he handles the horn and everything. Like he's just one of the greats you can't ignore. He does all his albums, and like he plays with a lot of other great players too. And so I think let me see, try to find another one that's not a saxophone player. I'm really biased because I play saxophone. So let me see. I don't know. I don't want to like hop on the train, but I really do enjoy Miles Davis's playing. You know, a lot of people like I don't know. A lot of people see it as generic, but I think there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
Like in a way, it's academic, but it's also just like, you know, he, especially from his background where he came from, and just the way he and like how he was getting into like a pretty much like a new contemporary kind of like jazz. Like towards the end of it, like it was really like him with like his stuff with like Herbie Hancock and all that stuff. It was like pretty crazy. Like just the way he like adapted so quick. He's pretty cool. Like he's a really good trumpet player too, obviously. But like I think people don't see the bigger picture when they talk about Miles Davis. It's I feel like they just should listen to a lot more of his stuff. There's some like cool hidden stuff out there that they like if you just like kind of look deeper, it's like oh wow, this dude was onto something. Then like unfortunately, you know, but like yeah.
What is one of your favorite jazz albums?
One of my favorite jazz albums? Hold on. Give me a second.
You're good.
It's Arturo Sandoval. Oh, oops, sorry. Let's see. Okay, it's Dear Diz. Every Day I Think of You. It's a big band album with Arturo Sandoval, and it's pretty much an homage to Dizzy Gillespie. So like he just made a whole album because you know he passed away, and he's like I need to do something for him because he's one of his big mentors, and Arturo Sandoval, you know, everyone knows him. He's an insane trumpet player, and his solos do not, you know, they're insane. Like but I really resonate with the album just because like there's so many like emotions. The way I can describe it is like almost like a Tyler the Creator album. It's like there's so many like different kind of like sounds that happen every single time, and like one like just one song, and then the whole track it just goes through like I love that album. It's really cool. Like you just see like it starts with kind of just like some sorrow. So it starts like oh you know he's passed away now, but then it goes straight into like Let's Boogie, you know, like all that kind of stuff, and the band just like the band itself is like insane, like incredible musicianship. Like all the solos on that album, if you ask anybody, they'd probably be like, oh yeah, the trombone solo from that one song, or like they're like really notable. I think there's like transcriptions of every single solo from that album just because they're like insanely like professionally like just catered and all that stuff. So but yeah, that's one of my like favorite albums ever.
I see. Who's someone you try to replicate your sound off of?
I think for me, one of my favorite. That's what I forgot. Anyways, just I guess for previous question, I really enjoy Andrew Gold. He's another saxophonist, but he's really new. He plays with like the 8-bit big band and all that stuff. He's pretty new to the scene. Yeah. He only has like an album out, like a single album. He's coming out with a new album soon, but I really like his sound. Just it's like a really like, it's like pretty modern, but also just like it stays true to like. Just like it's how jazz, you know. It's like it's very unique in its own way too. So like, I try to shape my sound to him all the time. I've listened to his stuff. I listen to his solos because he's also an incredible improv. Like, he's really good at it. Like all the stuff with the 8-bit big band, you know. I think because of the 8-bit big band, like he grabbed like a huge name to himself, and like now because of that, he's launching his own like stuff, and like he's getting into like. He's like I said, he's coming out with a new album. He's creating his own studio, his own band, and like he's doing really good. And I really enjoy his sound and like the way he does it. It's like the way he improvs too. It's almost kind of like how I was talking about Patrick Barley. It's pretty unique. Like it's very like closer to like, I think contemporary, not as like new as Patrick Barley, but like I really enjoy the way he approaches improv and stuff.
I see
that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Who's an artist, dead or alive, that you wish you could perform with?
Dead or alive? For me, it would have to be Sunny Stitt. His
Okay.
like guess going back to his language, but not really only his playing. His personality was really is really awesome. Sunny Stitt was also one of my biggest like just inspirations. The way he has like a billion albums. Like I think I haven't even listened to like half of them for sure. But like so maybe I can't call myself the biggest fan. But like just I've heard great things about just being surrounded by him. He's done a lot of like collaborating with like a lot of the greats that like weren't really that popular when they were like at that time,
Yeah.
Like he just started collaborating with anybody, and like at a certain point he was with Cannonball before Cannonball was like Cannonball, known for his stuff. And like so I think one person I would really like to play with is Sunny Stitt. Another one is obviously Patrick Bartley, just to understand like just see what his brain is thinking, because like for improv at least, it's like you know when the music's going like super fast, like your brain has to be shooting so fast to like come up with so many ideas, especially when you're improvising. And it's like that man, I don't know how he does it. I would love to see inside of his brain. So like I think that's someone I would definitely want to like just sit next to and like, talk to all the time.
I see.
Yeah.
If you could take the playing ability or writing ability of any artist ever, who and why would you pick them?
Man, I'm glazing. It's definitely Patrick Bartley. Oh my god, he's unique. Like I said, he just has like new ideas coming that you'd have never heard before. Like I said, especially his writing too. He only has one album out, which is insane. I think he should come out with more music. A lot of his music is really cool. A lot of unique stuff.
Yeah.
And it's pretty like but also kind of like simple at the same time. But like the way he just like approaches it is like, okay, I can get down with this and stuff. So his playing abilities is like, I don't know. He's probably I think he's probably one of like the best woodwind like musicians and probably in the world right now.
See.
So some of the things he do is like almost physically impossible. I don't know how he does it. I'm not gonna lie. Like you'll see some of the transcriptions and like just how they're writing notes. They're like, how is anyone supposed to play that? But he just does it. But he's also not like he's not like he's practiced that. Well, he probably has practiced that, but I mean like he's just coming up to that on the spot and he's playing that on the spot. And when you think about it like that, it's like this man has mastered the horn in ways no one has ever done before. Yeah. So like his writing capabilities and his playing abilities, I would definitely steal that guy's stuff,
Yeah. When you're improvising, what exactly is going through your mind?
At least for me, the typical stuff like chord changes. But like, I think one important aspect of improvising is knowing your audience and stuff, which is kind of hard when like you're going to school of music, like it's just like a recital, jazz band recital. But like you can still do that kind of stuff. It's easier for gigs, I think. But when I improv, I'm still not that great at it. I do enjoy it though. I always try to come up with like a simple idea or like new melody away from like a lot of people tend to like stick to the original melody and just kind of like develop it from that, which I think is really cool. But I think it's a lot harder and more enjoyable if you come up with something new, because then it'll be like, oh, that's something new. And like just from there, like kind of just like you're supposed to like develop an idea is what they say. And, just like it's almost like telling a story, kind of, which it's like really hard to do. That's why I like respect jazz musicians so much. Like anyone who can just like come up with an idea, go from there, and like just make a story when they improv, kind of like that. I respect them so much because it's the hardest thing to do.
I see.
So like I always try to like come up with like a simple melody or simple idea, and just go from there. Just kind of like bring it back and forth. Like we're coming back to the idea, and like go away from it for a little, come back to it, just so the like audience knows like, oh, okay. Like they just like even if you're non-music, you know what he's doing. It's like, oh, I heard this before.
Yeah.
That's a cool lick. Like obviously. So that's what I try to do a lot when I improv. And I'm still trying to get better at it. Like I said, I'm mainly a classical player, but I think jazz improv is just like an entirely new, different set of skills that you can only get better at in that exact environment. Like you just have to know how to read your audience. If you're in a practice room and you're improvising, it's like, well, I don't have an audience. Like how am I supposed to like, shape my solo to nobody?
I see,
So I try to think about ideas all the time and just trying to make a story when I improv.
Why do you think jazz and people's emotions have such a close connection to each other?
Well, like I said, compared to classical, you know, you're just playing what's on the page,
Mhm.
and like maybe like that piece is like an homage to somebody or something, and there could be emotions tied to that in a certain way. But with jazz, you know, you're pretty much just putting on the table what you have down in your head and your heart and stuff, like all that kind of stuff, you know. So I think it's just, it can be really emotional. Like I said, for like that album, that was for Arturo Sandoval, Dear Diz, for Dizzy Gillespie. A lot of those solos, you can like really tell, like this is what you probably would have wanted to hear. You wouldn't want to hear like some, because I'm not gonna lie, there's like not really, there's like one ballad on there, but it immediately turns into like a fast, like really fast stuff. Like, so like I think the idea of that album for me, for like Arturo Sandoval was like, there's no point in like staying sad. Let's keep the music alive the way he would have wanted it, you know? Like, it's just like really beautiful things like that that make jazz so emotional, you know? Like when, like I said, when you're improvising, it's like you're pretty much singing on your instrument, you know? Like they're scatting too, like a lot of like amazing scat players like Ella Fitzgerald and all that stuff. Like you can tell all the emotions. It's a lot easier to see how emotional they're like improvising and like just like playing the music, because it's their voice and you can really just hear all that kind of stuff. And with like wind players and like horn players and like percussionists and like, it's all harder, but you can still definitely like, it's definitely there, you know. It's not like completely like you know, untrackable. You can see how much emotion is into it. So like, I don't know, I think jazz just has that kind of connection more than classical, just because you know, like I said, you're laying what you have on the table and what you want people to know how you're feeling and how you know how you're singing through your horn.
Yeah, I see. What is one of your favorite memories relating to jazz?
One of my favorite memories is probably I guess my freshman year. So my freshman year here at WT, I was in the second jazz band my first semester, and it was a pretty good year, but the second semester came around, and this guy, his name was Darian, and he ended up leaving just because he wanted to go pursue some other things. He's doing an amazing job. Go listen to his stuff, Darius DeQuetta or something, but he's doing awesome stuff now. He has like his own label company now and cool. So it's like, wow, he pulled it through. Yeah. You know, only good to wish other musicians could have like. But he left and they needed like another saxophone player, and I was the lead alto in the second band in my first semester here. And so they moved me up to the first band, and I was just playing second alto, and like Dylan Martin, he was on first alto that year. And we played this really cool piece called Groovin' High. I think it's originally a Dizzy Gillespie piece. And like, it was pretty much just the Airmen of Note kind of made the arrangement. It's pretty much just like two saxophone featuring like the lead and like the second alto. Yeah. So like it was a really fun experience, just get like, cause we had like huge solo sections, like of just me and Dylan. They were like long, and it was my first time improvising for that long, and those kind of like, they're not easy changes. They're pretty hard, and like, it was just like a really like unique and like kind of scary experience at first. But like, we also got to have our concert at the Globe News Center, so that was also another like really fun experience I had at jazz band. So like, just playing that really cool piece that featured me and Dylan, and like getting an improv and show what I have as like a freshman, you know, which was terrifying. I had like this completely new stage, you know. It was one of like the coolest memories I have. That's playing awesome. In jazz band. Another one would probably be like with the 3.14 big band at least. My freshman year, like I said, I wasn't in the band because it wasn't really open yet. It was still pretty like these are the people. And like I went to the Wellington Square gig they have every year at the beginning of the year, and I remember just listening to all of them, and specifically Max Gray. He was playing trumpet at the time, but then he stopped playing and he pulled out his alto saxophone and started squealing and like playing the highest notes he can, like he was playing the trumpet on a saxophone or something. And, I don't know, it was so funny. It was also like another unique memory I have of that gig. But everyone had amazing solos, and Max had like the funniest solo ever. It was so awesome. That's definitely some core memories. I see. With jazz, for sure. Yeah.
How do you handle with creative blocks or moments when the inspiration isn't flowing?
I just try to look back, honestly, especially like at the old heads, just like, you know, Charlie Parker, Miles Davis, Wynton Marsalis, all that kind of stuff, and just see what they had. It's really easy to just kind of like stay enclosed where you are now. Another thing I like to do is actually just like, I kind of like to like there's like on like certain albums, like big band albums, there's like a list of people, you know, who help with those albums.
Yeah.
And I like looking up their names to see if they have albums. And I found a lot of cool players that way.
I see.
Like I like just looking through like jazz musicians, like in a like a kind of niche way. I don't know, like the underground, you know, kind of jazz musicians, pretty much like that. Just 'cause I want to see what they can do, you know. Like, there's these people at the top that you kind of listen to all the time, and like after a while, I can't even lie. Sometimes you'll get tired of just like, you know, I've heard the sound before and it's really cool, but like, I kind of want to hear something new, some new ideas. So like sometimes even on Instagram, I'll hear some people like some posts, and I'm like, oh, I like their ideas a lot. Do they have an album? And then if they do have an album, I'm like, I'm gonna listen to it. And you find a lot of cool, unique musicians and a lot of unique language that way, because they're also kind of like, their job at least is not to sound like everyone else, you know. Their job is to like kind of like rope you in and make sure that you'll stay, because they're playing some different stuff that you've never heard before. And I found a lot of cool, unique musicians that way. So that's what I like to do, just kind of look in the new and look in the old, and just find my inspiration from there.
I see. Besides music, what else inspires you?
Besides music, well, my parents have always been really, really inspirational to me. They work a really hard job, but they've been really supporting me through like this music thing. My dad's actually a musician on the side of his like work, so he like helps with like quinceañeras and stuff. You know, he plays saxophone too. So like I originally started playing saxophone in 6th grade, just like, oh, my dad plays saxophone, so I'll play saxophone. But my dad only plays like norteñas and stuff, like all that kind of stuff. So like I wasn't really like used to like jazz or like classical ever. But ever since I like decided to major in music, I remember just telling them what I wanted to do, and they were like, well, here, whatever you do, we'll support you. And they were just like, we know you can do it. So whatever I put my mind to, they really helped me just like settle on, yes, I'm gonna do music, and whatever hardships I do, they're gonna be there for me. And for whatever hardships I go through, I'm there for them too. It's like it's back and forth, helping each other out. So they've definitely been my biggest inspiration. So
I see. Beautiful. What is the best advice you have gotten relating to music?
I think it's from Dr. Barger, actually. Sometimes I'll overthink a lot, specifically, especially in music, and he just tells me to, like, you know, we're such in a lucky. He'll like remind me a lot too, especially like as it gets stressful towards the semester, the end of the semester. He's like, and it's good to look back at like the position we're in and all that stuff, you know, like to look where we are at. Like we get to like enjoy music and play music around people who also enjoy music, you know. It's like this kind of environment a lot of people don't get to do, you know. So like when you're stressing out about like your recital coming up or something, like you need to remember where you are right now and compare to other, like just like kind of compare yourself to like other situations. Like, well, it could be a lot worse, you know. Like I'm stressing about this. Some dudes could be stressing about like not paying rent, you know. Like, you know, like I don't know. I'm really like, it's just good to like look back at the situation I'm in, where I get to do where I really enjoy in life. And in the future, continue to do that, you know. So Dr. Barger's definitely helped me just like see the bigger picture of where I am.
I see. What do you hope for the future of jazz?
For the future of jazz, just like more pioneers of like a new language, a new type of sound, you know, that I don't know. I just, you know, it's good to like. A lot of people think it's like bad to like come up with more ideas and kind of make things more like complex, but I think it's like, I think going about it in the wrong way, yes, but when you're like just developing a genre, the more as it goes, like I think it's good to have more pioneers and like new sounds and all that kind of stuff. So I hope just jazz develops more as a sound and as like an idea and all that kind of stuff in language. So like, yeah, honestly, yeah, that's really what I wish for jazz, and just like, you know, to hit more mainstream, more people to enjoy it. I just want to see it like more around, like how like New Orleans is like. Have you ever been to downtown New Orleans?
Yeah,
it's the craziest music scene ever. It's super cool.
Yeah.
Like but I want like a lot of places to be like that. You know, we're just like, people can like just be walking down the street, like kind of like late at night, and just like they'll just hear like a jazz combo going crazy, and they're probably having fun. And like when they see that fun, they're like, I want to hear more of this. You know, that's how they discover their love for jazz.
Yeah. How have you evolved musically over the years?
I think I've just gotten more like intimate with music as a whole. In the beginning, I mean, all that mattered to me was like I played the right notes on the page. When it's like so much more than that, you know, it's all about interpretation and like what you can like tell the audience. It's hard to like, you know, from like a 10-minute performance, people don't understand how hard you really worked in like a practice room. You know, they don't know like, oh, this guy didn't sit there for like months practicing that one line. You know, so like when you do hit that line, it's like cool, but did people really connect with it? Did I just play the notes on the page? You know, like so like one thing I really been enjoying. And I've been seeing a lot more of is just like people like reading past the notes, reading in between the notes, and all that kind of stuff. Like really like showing what they can add to the music. You know, obviously you can't just like make up notes if you're and I'm talking like in a classical sense now, I guess. But like even it can relate to jazz too. You know, but like just like really singing through your horn and making sure like, you know, your interpretation goes through to the audience and they can see that. So like, wow, I guess the main goal is to let the audience know you really enjoy working on this piece and playing this piece for them. Yeah. Because if you enjoy this piece and you have an amazing performance that you obviously tailored toward the audience, then the audience will enjoy the piece. Because that's really what's music about, like what music is about, you know, like just sharing that with the audience and getting to see their happy reactions, spreading your love and stuff.
Yeah. Well, the last question I have for you is what advice do you have for up and coming jazz musicians?
What advice? Just keep listening, you know. Like I said before, go find some new stuff. You can keep listening to old stuff, but go try to find some new stuff. Find some new ideas. Some people are laying out there that a lot of people don't know about, you know, like I don't know. I feel like in the jazz scene at least, it's really hard to get into if you're like really like insecure about like your playing or just like yourself in general. The hardest thing about jazz is just starting, I feel like. So like any up and coming, just like get started as soon as you can and like keep going to those gigs, like keep trying. Like you'll have a bad solo, but who hasn't ever had a bad solo, you know? Yeah. Like just keep trying, just keep doing those things and like keep following like the book, you know? Like pretty much it's like any other hobby, the more you do it, you'll get better at it and stuff. And just like especially with jazz, you know, the more gigs you go to, the more like connections you make and the more of an audience you build. And like, oh, this guy was here before. Oh, I know this guy's gonna cook. You know, like, you know. But yeah. So that's the biggest advice I can give for sure. Yeah.
Awesome. And then I like to give my guests a special moment to kind of promote anything or just shout out a couple people in the area. So the moment is yours.
Cool. Shout out to Dr. Barger, my coolest mentor ever. Greatest guy I've ever met in my life for sure. Shout out to the 3.14 Big Band. We have some really cool stuff coming up this next semester. I've already been listening to a lot of cool Latin pieces, and it's gonna be a fun semester. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Shout out to my parents. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. And last thing, I like to ask all my guests to recommend one song to be added on the playlist forever. What song would you like to recommend today?
So it's by this really cool band that I just also figured out. They're called Soul and Pimp Sessions. It's called Pairaso. Awesome tune.
Perfect. Well, thank you, Emanuel, once again for coming on to the show today. It was an honor. Very good interview, I must say. But anyways, everyone, thank you for listening today. We have a couple more segments coming up right after this, but thank you for listening to Jazzy Fridays right here on KWTS 91.1 FM. Make sure to stay tuned.